Hey everyone, today I wanted to have a very quick discussion topic regarding the lack of collaborations that we have seen for Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. We know that in base Monster Hunter Rise, there were plenty of collaborations to go about. Whether they were all home runs or not, that's not really the point of this discussion, but specifically to the point that there were plenty to go around. And when it comes to Sunbreak, we just have not had much to go with that. So in this video, I want to try to have a little bit of a discussion regarding that specific topic, which will also bleed rather well specifically into the back end of the video, where I want to go over a specific discussion with director Ichinose as he breaks down the Sega collaboration and how that came about for base Monster Hunter Rise. So a lot of the discussion most recently has kind of sprung up about the lack of collaborations, mostly based off of the fact that we have seen multiple collaborations using the Monster Hunter Rise moniker from Capcom with Mega Man EX Dive, that is the mobile game that is available worldwide, and now most recently the more pronounced one is with Sonic Frontiers. They're getting a Monster Hunter Rise collaboration where Sonic is going to be wearing full-on Rathalos armor and basically doing the little cooking mini game for whatever reason. And of course, he's going to get powered up through, I guess, eating the meat or whatever it is. Some people have asked me, where is he actually getting the meat from? I don't necessarily know. They didn't necessarily explain that in their blog update. So that has left people wondering, well, where is the Sonic Frontiers collaboration coming into Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak? You know, if one game is going to get a collaboration, how come the other one isn't? I think ultimately it's kind of like I mentioned in that video, that because we got a collaboration from Sonic, the last main collaboration that Rise got was with Sonic, so we ended up getting a couple of things in Rise. Now Frontiers is getting the back end of that deal. You know, it's a two-way communication type of thing. It's a two-way deal, and there was no Sonic game upcoming at that point in time last year, you know, and of course they want to have as much content from other companies as possible to be able to promote it. What that doesn't necessarily explain is why Capcom just kind of abandoned the entire idea of collaborations as Sunbreak decided to launch. You know, there's been plenty of downloadable content already being added in for Sunbreak, but at this point in time, and from the launch of Rise in comparison to Sunbreak, Rise was getting more downloadable event quests. I would actually argue better downloadable event quests, and of course the collaborations on top of course, the addition of brand new monsters. We got, well, you can actually argue that, you know, the game launched unfinished and it ended up getting 2 free patches afterwards to kind of like add more monsters. You know, they still ended up adding more than what we actually have seen up until this point when it comes to Sunbreak. And collaborations is one of the biggest missing keys that we just simply have gone kind of unaccounted for, and there's no real reason. Capcom in their developer interviews, they haven't necessarily even addressed the addition of any of that. And one of the ongoing narratives that I've kind of seen start to develop is the fact that we still have these vague 2023 free title updates that we have some like vague details on, but we don't necessarily know much of anything, specifically when they're going to happen, beginning, middle, or late in the year. So of course, all that is kind of still vague, up in the air stuff. So Capcom could be potentially considering collaborations for next year as they focus more on the addition of monsters this year. But again, we don't necessarily know, and that's the kind of thing that has left a lot of people just wondering what exactly is gonna happen as we head into, I guess, the close out of free downloadable content for Sunbreak in the very near foreseeable future. Now, of course, that also leads to the developer interview that I did mention at the top of the video. There was a interview with director Ichinose from Nintendo Dream being done in Japan. I'm gonna leave a link in the description below for the original interview, but also Nintendo Everything decided to translate parts of it, so I'm gonna be leaving a link in the description below for their unofficial translation. Now in this one specifically, they just focus on the original Sonic collaboration, which is interesting because again, the timing, now they confirmed the Frontiers collaboration with Monster Hunter, so I guess this was the reason why this interview was being done in the first place. There's only 3 questions that I want to go over, and the first one is, Sonic was one of the main crossovers that made an appearance in the game. It was surprising to see Sonic-shaped buddies. What was the idea from the Rise team? He mentions that the collaboration was made possible through our producers approaching Sega. The design was done by Sonic fans on our team, and I think they did a great job with a lot of the smaller details. We submitted a number of ideas to Sega and they approved a lot of them, and when we made them a reality. We also submitted the songs that we wanted to use in the game, and it was great to be able to have Sonic music playing while on a quest. And remember that in those specific quests, probably one of the shining examples was just the music itself. I believe it was from the Dreamcast game, and I hadn't heard that song for a very long time, so I was very happy to hear that since I haven't played that game probably since the Dreamcast games. And the second question they ask, was the ring collecting part of the ring collection quest something that was newly made for Rise? He replies that it was more of a remodeling of the Golden Spirit bug, something that the team was very enthusiastic about. We wanted to make it like Sonic, so we decided to base it around collecting rings. During our playtest, people tried to see how fast they could clear it, which was a lot of fun. Not only that, but we thought that it would be better to have quests where you interact with the monsters in some way, so we added a Nargacuga quest as well. Remember that there were 2 or 3 maybe specific quests. One of them was certainly the aforementioned Nargacuga hunt, which I don't necessarily know if it made a lot of sense. I guess it was just a blue furry thing. So I guess it somewhat resembled Sonic in some weird fashion in their eyes. But certainly the ring collecting quest was probably one of the more unique collaboration quests that we ended up getting. The last question that they asked him was, could you talk a little bit about the Sonic equipment? Her response was, there was also the idea of hunters in a Sonic suit, but that didn't work because of the concerns that we had about body shape, among other things. We incorporated Sonic speed into that kind of sportswear that exists in the world of hunters. The hunter's costume's color scheme brings out the Sonic's key colors, and Palamu's bring out Tails' key colors. There is a lot of heavy armor in the world of Monster Hunter, so it's nice to see casual clothing too. They're broken down into armor parts, so players can choose their very own outfits, and I think the costumes that can be used for a long time to come. I really wanted to have Sonic himself make an appearance, and I thought it would be great if I could achieve this through dressing up the felines, who would have a similar body shape to Sonic. They still move like felines at the end of the day, so it's much more of a hunch over Sonic. We added playful motions like Sonic running, transforming into Super Sonic to make the game as close to Sonic as possible. And I think that was one of the more popular things that we got to see aside from the quest itself, was the fact that he was able to change into Super Sonic with the whole emerald spinning around him. So that was certainly a nice touch to have. But I certainly want to hear your guys' feedback on what kind of collaborations you would actually love to see when it happens to Sunbreak. I don't necessarily think any sort of Nintendo collaborations are going to be on the table at this point in time. Certainly too late in the game for that to happen. But certainly any more Capcom or even third-party collaborations, I think are still in play if they decide to do any of them heading into 2023, since for 2022, they just seem to be adding more and more monsters and focusing on that. If you're brand new to my channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, hit the bell to receive notifications when the videos go up, and as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya.